Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our guest tonight, Daria. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good, good. And I just a brief intro for Daria. She is a great author, and let's listen to her work and also her achievement. So, Daria, tell us about yourself. Tell us what do you do.
So my name is Daria, and I'm pretty much at this point, I am a mom and a wife. That's pretty much all I do right now. But yeah, I'm also an author. Uh, I wrote and published my first book of poetry called The Haunted House, a first time mother's journey through trauma, um, last year. And I also have a YouTube channel called Daria's Diaries,
Mhm.
which I publish. I used to publish a lot, like really often. At this point, I just publish once a month. Um, and yeah, those are pretty much two things that I'm passionate about.
Okay, and tell me, how is your writing? How did it all start?
So I actually Yeah, I mean, this is kind of crazy because I definitely didn't expect to be a published author. Um, my husband, Michael, he also writes books, so he's a published author, and he published way before me, and I really supported it, was really excited about it, but I just never saw myself publishing a book.
Mhm.
And oh, you may hear that's our son.
Mhm.
After our son, who is actually the one who kind of like, how do you say, spurted on my growth or really encouraged my growth after he was born. He's 16 months old now, and he was born in September 2019. And after he was born, I was going through like just through so much.
Mhm.
And first of all, it was just like a lot of physical issues, but that is nothing compared to the emotions that started coming up for me.
Mhm.
I always had like a lot of kind of mood swings, and I always had a very challenging relationship with my parents, and especially with my mother. And I had a difficult childhood, and I was born into a very difficult time, into a difficult location, because I was growing up as a child in 1990s Russia. I was born in 1990, like literally right before the fall of communism, and so like my childhood was happening in a country that had just like fallen apart and was kind of restructuring, and it was just, just a lot of painful memories from that time. My, I mean, like my grandparents had been through Second World War, and there are some horrendous stories from communism with deaths in my immediate family during communism in Russia, like so much. And I had known about that, but I never really thought, I was just kind of like a teenager and a young girl, and then I got married, and whatever. But after my son was born, everything started coming up. Like it literally became these hauntings for me, like emotional hauntings, my emotions. And there is this one wonderful, amazing lady who is a psychic and healer and life coach that I have been seeing, actually, like specifically for my well-being. And so she's not like the kind of person who like predicts like this is what's going to happen, but she's more like very intuitive, and so she will be able to kind of give me advice when I'm not feeling well, and kind of help me like balance my emotions. And so I was seeing her after my son was born, and just having a lot of volatility also in my marriage with my husband, because of what I was going through. And she told me that, as a suggestion, that I can kind of like try to channel my these hauntings into something positive or something productive, something, if I like to write, I could maybe write about all these things. And that's pretty much what I started. Is like you think I could maybe like write some poems? And I even remember that session. At the end, I asked her. Her name was Magda. Magda, you think maybe I can write like some poems then about this, because I just couldn't handle this anymore, and everything that I was going through, and she said yeah. And so I started writing, and so last spring I wrote first poem, and then every time something would be going on. Also, we were living with my parents-in-law, who are extremely lovely people. They have done and continue to do so much for us. But me, like, kind of liking my space and kind of like living in the same house with my mother-in-law, who has her own emotional stuff, it was so hard. And so I just started like writing one poem at a time, just like, not caring that it rhymes or anything. My poems do not rhyme. I don't, that's not even my purpose. And so I wrote like one poem at a time, and that's how I created my book. And the same actually also with my Daria's Diaries, with my YouTube channel, which is, I again, like, I was, my son, our son was whatever, like 4 months old or 5 months old, and we're living with my parents-in-law, and I just had like this feeling like, oh my goodness, I will never have my own like living space for my family. Will always probably just live with my parents-in-law, which was really a lovely living situation. But as I said, I just wanted that like space of my own for my family. Oh my goodness, I will never get rid of these or work through these insane mental emotional hauntings that are not even allowing me to move out, because I can't even function properly, you know. Um, like, so much was going on. And then I am also taking care of, obviously, of our infant son, and so I started also my Daria's Diaries YouTube channel. And you can see that so many videos there are of me, like, crying and just talking what I'm going through, and also talking about my family history and my relationship with my mother. And that's also obviously like what I mentioned in the book, of course, quite a bit as well.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think I showed audience as part of your book, and I'll show them again. So this is your some of the book work. Let's go through this title first. So how did you come up with this picture?
Oh no, this is actually the wrong picture. I was
Oh,
actually looking at it, and I can show you though my book right here.
okay. Oh, sorry. Then I
No,
wouldn't.
my
Oh,
book's side, my book's picture is a lot more haunting. It truly, it because it's called Daria, the Haunted House.
oh, okay. Then probably, yeah, we have the another Daria. Sorry about that. Okay, so that is very kind of yeah, unique. Oh my God, first time
Yeah,
mother.
you
Wow.
see. Yeah, that is nothing too compared to the.
Yeah,
You
that
wish it
that
was
that
that book
doesn't,
cover.
that doesn't describe what you were saying. Okay, but this is very. Who came up with this? Did you draw yourself, or did you have a given concept and?
Yeah. So it's actually interesting. There's an interesting story behind this book cover. I also do, and I maybe should have mentioned that. I also do, not like professionally. So I may actually in the future. This is one of things that I may want to do in the future. But so far, just for fun and just kind of for acquaintances, I do tarot card readings and also astrology. So I'm actually a really big tarot card and astrology enthusiast. I have my own deck of tarot cards. I have my own deck of oracle cards. I burn sage, and I really love that. And so the book cover is actually based on one of the tarot cards. So for those people that know tarot cards, they will recognize probably that this is the Ten of Swords. So I pretty much, as I was writing or after I finished my book, and I guess I was looking through tarot cards, and this was the card. Ten of Swords was the card that really resonated at the time. How I feel. I kind of, really just, stabbed to the ground, feeling like I can't really move anywhere. Like at the lowest of the low. That's what that tarot card represents. Be at the lowest of the low. But finally, also, even in that card, there's sunrise, and you can see it in the back. There's sun rising, right?
Mhm.
So even in that card where you're at the lowest of the low, there is hope, and there's a new day starting. And so there is that beautiful, uh, kind of part to that as well. It's not completely hopeless, and you would never want to be, completely sort of hopeless, even in your darkest time. And so pretty much that was the card that I got my inspiration from. And then then my second step was to find someone who will draw the book cover for me, right? And so I went like on a website where people offer their services, for drawing book covers. And I actually reached out to a few. And this is a kind of a funny story, because I reached out, obviously to people that have really high ratings, because I want my book to, have a really nice cover. And I reached out to this one person, and because they want me to send them some sort of example of what I'm thinking of. And so I sent them the 10 of Swords, and I said, this is what I would like as an inspiration, but I obviously want myself as that figurine, right, as that figure on the card. And I remember one person, they just said, oh no, I cannot draw this is too much, this is too dramatic. And so one person, Lily, even though I was going to pay them, they refused to draw this because they kind of got scared. And then eventually I found this really wonderful lady. So my book illustrator, her name is Lika Kvirikashvili, and she lives in Georgia, not like the state of Georgia, the country of Georgia. And so she drew this for me. And so I told her, Lika, I want myself on the on the cover, like step to the ground. And
Mhm.
so pretty much that. And then I created sort of like the text. I added the text myself. So, yeah.
Okay, well, very nice. So, also, I want to ask you, what was most difficult about being, you said, being a first-time mom? It was hard because of the experience being pregnant, or it was the family or dynamics, or which overall you find most difficult?
Um, I think that the most difficult parts are the emotions. And I guess like um the daily sort of like tasks, of course, can get somewhat overwhelming. It's a big shift from not being a parent to being a parent, just because your life now obviously is consumed by this beautiful being, and they need a lot of love and attention and care.
Mhm.
um I think though that this is something that is obviously a wonderful opportunity to teach us about um, charity and being there for another person, and selfless choices. And so it's a wonderful exercise for our soul to be to parent another person. And I'm still learning, and I still have so much to learn, in the upcoming years as our son grows up. But I think the most difficult thing is not the practicalities for me of kind of like taking care, but the emotional stuff that comes up within me, the emotional traumas that come up within me, and also the stuff that comes up within my marriage with my husband, and for him, and then for both of us. I think that a lot of things that were in our own childhood, happening in our own childhood or with our own parents, um, they kind of start coming up more. Also, if there was any dormant, like any dormant, pretty much like traumas, any dormant, maybe emotional health issues, um, they can really start coming up a lot more after you become a parent. And paradoxically, they may come up more, and yet you have a lot less time to deal with them, right? So before my son was born, um, whose name is Zen, right? So if I wanted to feel Zen before Zen was born, I would just like um, I don't know, maybe try to meditate or something. But like nowadays, it's even that is is a bit more difficult, right? Because what if I need to take care of him, or there? So yeah, so there is this paradox where you have a lot less time, but actually there's a lot more need for to kind of emotionally balance myself. Yeah. Also, just I guess seeing my own parents in a different light or from a different perspective, um, questioning certain choices that they made, understanding more certain things that they did. Yeah, there's a whole new, I guess, shift in consciousness that comes with becoming a parent.
Mm.
Um,
So what was the feeling? I know you went through a lot with that part, but what was the feeling when you saw baby?
wait, excuse me one more time.
I said,
Can you
what
repeat?
was the feeling when you saw him first time?
Oh, when I saw my son for the first time when he was born.
Mm.
Oh, it was wonderful. I think I was just, well, I did have a, I don't, I mean, I had a difficult birth. That being said, though, because I had, so this is for, I mean, I have absolutely like no filter slash no, secret. For, I guess, mostly for women who have given birth, they will probably know I had what is called a 3B tear, which is severe, tearing during birth. And so I actually, right after our son was born, we were able to hold him for a little bit, but then I had to have emergency surgery right after. So they put me to sleep, and so it was, to repair sort of
Mm.
my lady part, so to say. But yeah, right after he was born, it was very traumatic birth for me. But again, like, having given birth, then I talk to other women, and then I know there are some women that have had way more traumatic births. So everything is on a spectrum. But yeah, I mean, I think my first feeling was almost like disbelief, like what, like a son, and also, oh my goodness, like you're so cute, you're so adorable, like, which I still think. So I mean, like, wow, yeah, oh my goodness, you're so cute and so tiny. Yeah,
I
that
know.
was probably the first feeling.
Yeah, that's the first thing. So, like, all the stress, I'm sure when you looked at him, all that stress or kind of eased up a little bit. So it's like, you get a
Absolutely.
reward for all those many months of right hardship.
Absolutely. No, actually, a lot of what I have done and continue to do is not even just that he eases my stress. It's more that I see him as the reason for me doing these things. So, whereas in the past, because this is not like my son didn't cause me to feel those feelings of, like those trauma and emotional hauntings. My son's birth simply triggered it, and it really can be, I think it, birth is a wonderful event, but it is, even if it was like, I think, an easy birth, it's still a thing like a, an event like a birth or a death or something like some, it is still like a traumatic, event, in the sense like it's something like, out very very not unexpected, but out of the ordinary, right? And so what I mean is, it's not just a birth, it can be anything, like as I said, it can be a relative's illness, or maybe some sort of accident, or something positive, or I don't know, maybe a loss of a friendship, or maybe a new person coming into your life. Like anything really can trigger our deepest feelings, our deepest emotions. So for me, I think it just happened to be so that for me, our son's birth was the trigger, that released a lot of pent up emotions and feelings that I had already way before, he was born. But the good thing is that when I feel, a lot of these things that I do, whether I write this book or I do my YouTube channel, where I try to be extremely transparent about, what I'm going through. I know that I'm doing this for my son, because my experience has been that my mother, until today, really,
Mm.
who also suffers, from a lot of trauma, extreme trauma, emotional volatility, up until I talked to her last night, and it was just the most difficult conversation where I was crying. And my mom has some emotional mental health issues, and but my mother, she's not willing to be transparent. She's the opposite, where she doesn't want to talk. She's like, don't bring this out of the family, just keep this in the family. And I think that's my experience with a lot of people, where I think that's where a lot of pain actually also around the world comes, is that we don't openly talk about all this like dark stuff that we feel within, all this trauma and pain. We kind of try to maybe talk to friends, or maybe like within, kind of keep within family. But for my son, I think it's best that I talk about it openly, and that I bring whatever darkness I feel within to light. And I actually want to encourage other people to bring whatever they feel inside and they're going through within themselves, emotion, within their family, their childhood, their with their partner in their marriage, to bring it into light. Because I think that there's no way to change, for example, my painful experiences of my childhood, or the trauma that my mother feels or my grandparents felt in war. But when we all talk openly and transparently about what we have been through, what we're going through, what we're feeling, there's a certain, there's this human bond that we can have, because then people can read my book and they may recognize certain feelings in themselves. They have felt that, and it kind of alleviates, it doesn't make life completely easy and there's no problems, but it makes it so much more like livable and just easier to go through life when we're all transparent and open with what we're going through, because then we can all bond on this much deeper human level, because we're all have been there one way or
Yeah,
another.
and that is true. So I think you're talking about a few great points I want to highlight. I used to deliver babies, so I know when you talk about care. So we used to have, this conversation. How was the experience after delivery of baby? With women, and so some of things they would share is, things when they progress. So in normal delivery versus something abnormal happens. Let's say there's a delay, and then there is kind of uncertainty, and you know, it's like your body um, is kind of not following you. So there could be C-section.
Mm.
There could be anesthesia involved, like there could be tear. So, and the unexpected things happen, and then you worry about, what is wrong there, or why did my body betray me, or what happened. It's like uncertainty. And then, like you said, care is, it really can be, sometimes, like you talk to other women, and then they said, no, this could be difficult. Then some are very easy, some might they have very difficult time. So those are kind of, you know uh, so it's kind of, you analyze then your situation based on what happened, and how did it do overall, and so forth. And like you said, there are a lot of things we all share. So when you share that, you get that feeling, what's going on. So a lot of things, I'm sure, that brings up those memories, and to learn and to kind of explore that. um, but one thing for sure, that it was rewarding, and you got your reward. Baby, looking at his smile, I'm sure you forget a lot of things, right?
I don't forget. I try to channel them into something productive and something positive for the world. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I shouldn't say for totally forget. Basically,
Yeah.
it kind of minimize some of that feelings. So not forget.
Yeah, no, I think actually just because maybe one last thing that I want to mention is because I was listening to a live broadcast by that lady, Magda, that I've been seeing, and she has her own live podcast, and she actually even said, so many people, they get kind of angry or upset, like, why did this happen to me, why did I go through this, and she said, don't get angry, don't try to kind of like even get over it, understand that this happened for a reason, this happened because this was meant to happen to you, and you're meant to go through this so that you can hopefully take it and do something with it, or right, channel it into something, right,
Yeah.
something of light, and I think, and I really love that, I really love that idea. That's
No,
kind of
that
what
is
we hope
true.
to be doing. Yeah.
That is true. So also you mentioned something about on terms of tarot and astrology. A big fan. I used to do a lot of palmistry when I was so I love that. Maybe we should have next episode on that tarot
Uh,
card.
yes, I would love that. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah. I mean, I'll be happy to give you a tarot card reading
Yeah,
and
yeah, please
even an
do that.
astrology reading.
That would be awesome. So we
Yeah.
can do a tarot card reading live on
Yeah.
our show.
Yeah. Yeah. That would be
That would
awesome.
be cool. Okay, I think so. Definitely, I will catch up with you. So, for this episode, any final thoughts you would like to share?
No, no final thoughts. I mean, to be honest, like promoting my book, I guess for several reasons I've been busy, but also, I don't know, I'm not, I guess, a very like marketing type of person. So I haven't really been doing a good job, which is, you'll see that, I only have one review on Amazon, but I would just encourage, if anyone got interested in my story, I would just encourage people to check out my book with a very scary, cover, The Haunted House by DariaHsu. And and I have to go. Sorry, my son is crying. So
Okay, take care. Thank you for
thank
coming.
you. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Take care. Bye.